While female officers often command a higher standard of respect in a male-dominated field, instances of misconduct bring shame to all the females of the organization, from sleeping with the entire department to breaking laws and a lot more. What exactly did these female officers do and why? While men and women in blue are meant to be guardians of the public and law, some unfortunately abuse their power. But what happens next with those who misuse their authority? Stay with us as we see some brutal cases where female cops went too far. Cop fired for using racial slurs. According to the investigation report, the event took place on April 5th in front of the Western Hills University High School. The 40-year-old Rose Valentino was on the job in a marked CPD car. The report says she went to the District 3 police office to file a report about an offense. As she pulled into the station's yard, she saw a line of cars waiting to pick up school children. According to the report, Valentino turned on her lights and horn to tell the cars to move. And when they didn't, she became angry. It said that she yelled over her air horn,
"You gotta move!" Ridiculous.
Then Valentino rolled down her window and told a black woman in one of the cars,
"Is she gonna just sit there?"
The report says that a black kid who looked like he was a CPS student walked by and gave the officer the middle finger, which enraged her. The story says that Valentino said,
"Dumb. Oh, I hate him so much. Oh, I hate this world. Hate him."
The video shows that she also punched the steering wheel in frustration. Soon after Valentino turned off her body cam, the police report says that before she turned off the dash cam, she was heard saying softly, "And there it is." In an interview with police, Valentino is said to have admitted to using the slur, and the clear voice of Valentino can be heard on body cam footage. The woman told the police that she was very angry because of the traffic and the fact that no one had taken her seriously. The arbitration's ruling said Valentino was not fired only for using a racial slur. She was fired because she used a racial slur and went on a hateful, swear-filled rant against a whole community she was supposed to protect. In 2019, Valentino was also named in a federal lawsuit by a real estate agent and a potential buyer, who said that she and two other CPD officials detained them because of a report of two black males breaking down a house's front door. The city paid $151,000 to end the case. Female cops fired after performing a toss. A police report says Brown pulled Webb over for speeding in her black Mercury Sable. This is where the ordeal began. Sarah Webb said that she was late for work at a Duluth hair shop where she worked. The body camera video shows Webb crying as Brown scolds her for going too fast on the wet road and putting people's lives at risk. The video shows that Brown takes Webb's license, but when she realizes that her radar gun isn't working and that she can't check the license, she calls for help. Later, she talks to Wilson, who can be heard using the coin toss app and saying a "for heads" or "R" for tails. Even though the coin falls on tails to free Webb, she's still arrested. There's no word of the coin toss app being used to make the arrest in the police report. Also, Brown told Wilson that her radar gun wasn't working, but that it also is not mentioned in the report. Brown wrote that she had to go about 88 miles per hour to catch Webb before they stopped at the intersection of Bent Grass and East Crossville roads. The report says that Brown then told Webb to get out of the car and put her hands behind her back after the argument. The hardworking officers of the Roswell Police Department do not act like this, Roswell Police Chief Rusty Grant said in a statement Friday. "I expect a lot more from our police officers, and I can't believe that any of them would treat the process of making a decision about something as important as arresting someone like it's nothing." Grant said he found out about the event right before the July 4th holiday. He said he couldn't talk about the specifics because the probe was still going on. Webb got tickets for driving recklessly and going too fast for the weather. The case was thrown out later. Julie Brechbill, a spokesman for the Roswell City, told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that Courtney Brown and Christy Wilson were fired weeks after video of the April stop went public. Female cop suspended after using force. According to statements made by a sheriff, a deputy in the state of Georgia was terminated after she pointed her gun at a guy who was handcuffed while trying to get him into a police car. According to a statement released by Clayton County Sheriff Victor Hill, the incident that included Deputy Nicole Pitts took place one night when the man refused to get inside the car. It was not clear why the man was being arrested. According to the statement made by the sheriff, Deputy Pitts pulled out her issued sidearm, held it to the suspect's head under his chin in order to get him to comply. An additional officer who witnessed Pitts aiming her firearm reported the incident to the office, which ultimately led to the opening of an investigation into the matter. After being placed on administrative leave without pay for a period of time, Pitts was ultimately terminated from her position a day after the incident. A female cop killed an innocent in his own apartment. Amber Geiger was fired from the Dallas Police Department a few days after the shooting, when Dallas resident Amber Geiger put her key in the door of room number 1478 at the Southside Flats apartment complex. She started a chain of events that killed an innocent man and ended her career as a police officer. Geiger said in a court on Friday that she parked on the wrong floor because she was tired from a long day at work the night of the shooting. She said it wasn't easy to find the parking floors in her apartment building. In court, she played out how she got to the apartment door with her backpack, lunchbox, and police vest in her left hand. She also said that she heard someone walking inside. That night, Geiger said that she saw the door was cracked open. When she put the key in the lock, she said that the key opened the door to the dark flat. Geiger had said earlier that she had trouble getting her flat door to lock all the way. Lawyers for Geiger said Botham Jean, an accountant for the international auditing company, PricewaterhouseCoopers, was sitting on his couch when the door opened.
Former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger appears frantic in this body cam video. She told investigators she mistook 26-year-old Botham Jean for a burglar in her apartment when she opened fire. Moments later, you can see one of the officers begin CPR on Jean for 7 minutes, who is face up on the floor, bleeding from a gunshot wound.
Geiger said that she saw the outline of a person and yelled at him with her gun. The person was moving around and she couldn't see his hands. She also said that the man was yelling in an angry voice.
Did you hear anything as he was walking towards you?
There was a loud yell. He was yelling, "Hey, hey, hey."
Geiger showed the next part of the scene to the jury by holding out her right hand like it was a gun. Geiger said Jean was coming toward her when she shot. When her lawyer asked why she had fired at him, Geiger said she was afraid he was going to kill her. Geiger's emotional call to 911, in which she said over and over that she thought someone was breaking into her flat, was played by the defense lawyer. Geiger said she tried something like a little CPR, but she kept getting up to find out where she was and call 911. Geiger also said that she stopped CPR to text her lover and police partner to help, but it was too late. Amber Geiger was found guilty of murder on Tuesday after she shot and killed an innocent man eating ice cream in his own home in 2018 because she thought it was her apartment. It took 12 people on the jury less than 2 days to come to a decision. Amber Geiger was charged with murder.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Amber Geiger, guilty of murder as charged in the indictment.
She could spend anywhere from 5 to 90 years in jail. The month of January 2023 left a mark on the police department of Tennessee that is hard to wipe off.
It's just bad. It's like a stain, I guess.
Megan Hall, a 27-year-old police officer, became an internet sensation overnight after she was fired for allegedly having sexual relations with 6 of her co-workers.
Shocked and overall disappointed with our police department and what's happened.
Megan became the new target of internet trolls and was one of the most humiliated police officers on the planet. However, the story of a police officer sleeping with her entire department is what we all have been sold. What if I told you there is more to this tale than what we have all been poisoned with? An intelligent student, a dedicated officer, and a loving wife. What exact events conspired for Megan to take part in such a shameful sex scandal? What was her story behind this atrocious act which destroyed her career? To unravel that, we need to first understand Megan's life a little further. Born to parents Jemery Watley and Rachel, Megan was the perfect child that any parent could ask for. She grew up in rural Tennessee and graduated with a bachelor's degree in biology. She was passionate about acting and wanted to make a career in the same. But destiny had a different plan for her as she joined the police and law enforcement. She married her college sweetheart, Jedediah Hall, who currently serves as a deputy. The couple recently bought their first family home in Manchester in March last year. The picture painted here would have us all believing that Megan had the perfect life. However, the truth was far from it. Struggling with heavy drinking and mental health struggles, Megan was fighting a battle of her own from the very beginning. When the case of Megan being involved in sexual activities with her coworkers was investigated, some disturbing facts about her mental state came to light. In one such scenario, Hall once unloaded her weapon and dry-fired the gun at her head so she could hear what it sounded like. It was also discovered that she voiced harmful thoughts and on multiple occasions repeated that she should not be alone. The situation of her mental health got so out of control that it also started affecting her relationship with her husband. The couple had serious marital issues and were on the verge of a divorce, but their relationship had to face the ultimate test when this news was revealed.
Shocking findings of sexual misconduct rocked the Laverne Police Department. 5 officers and the police chief all fired.
One of those officers, Megan Hall, became the face of the scandal and the target of nationwide ridicule.
The entire police department was shocked when this news came to light. Megan was accused of having intimate relationships with 6 officers in the Laverne Police Department. Sergeant Lewis Powell, Sergeant Ty McGowan, Officer Juan Lugo, and Detective Seneca Shields were the prominent names that came into the scandal. The investigation into these alleged affairs began on December 12th after Laverne Mayor Jason Cole received information from a whistleblower. He quickly asked the city's Human Resources Director, Andrew Patton, to investigate further on the situation when this unimaginable story came on air. In her first investigation interview with Andrew, Megan admitted to having sexual relations only with K-9 officer Larry Holliday. "We had intercourse. There were a few times, but it was a long time ago," she said. She dismissed rumors of a fling with Sergeant Lewis Powell a handful of times, but in the second and third interviews, she confessed all of her deepest secrets. Megan admitted that she had a months-long affair with Powell and even had intercourse while on duty.
You came in, asked him to come over to help you work on something.
Yeah, we were working out.
And he came over, and then there was a that was given, and then he went back to work, and you went home.
Hang out. Oral sex.
Hall further confessed to getting drunk at a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party where she sang karaoke and fell down a flight of stairs before having sex with Magliocco in the bathroom of a colleague's boat. However, her defense to this incident was the peak of absurdity. "My bathing suit was a little loose and it fell off," she tried to justify. She also included some squirmy details about an encounter where she, along with Magliocco and his wife Amy, tried to seduce Jedediah into a sexy wife-swapping session that Jedediah did not appreciate.
No, when that happened, when Mabs was like right by us, and then on the couch, Mabs was like, "If y'all start making out, maybe Jed will get into my husband, into the idea." And when we started making out, Jed was like, "No."
Yeah. Okay. And then there was a conversation the next day about, I thought Jed was down for this, and you were like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah. I thought me and my husband have had a threesome before, so I didn't know if it was gonna, like, I didn't think he'd have an issue with.
Hall also admitted that she tried to get Jedediah involved in a threesome with Sergeant Ty McGowan and his wife, but the conversation was quickly dismissed. Megan tried to defend herself by stating she only had sex with Lugo at a hotel after the pair met at a venue she recalled as a Go Fun USA. This was outside work premises and hours and wasn't a complete violation of the law. However, her hookup with Shields took place in the weight room at a police gym. Quote, "I'm sorry, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse there, but there wasn't a sexual act that took place in the gym according to you. You gave a hand job," a confused investigator questioned. "Yeah, it wasn't a blowjob," was Hall's explanation. Andrew went on to ask, "Do you have a foot fetish? Do you send pictures of your feet to people?"
Ty does.
Ty has a foot fetish, and so he would ask you for pictures of your feet. Did you send pictures of your feet to Seneca?
I know I didn't Ty.
Hall had also confessed that she slept with McGowan on 2 occasions, the first night after she had just taken her psych exam prior to having been sworn in for her $53,000 per year police job. But no one would have expected what we're about to reveal to you next. Remember that initial whistleblower who reported Megan? The source of this was from the very culprit who started this scandal, Mr. McGowan. While he freely threw all of his colleagues' sexcapades under the bus, McGowan did not disclose his own romps with Hall and later even denied them. Which brings us to the question, what consequences did these officers endure for breaking the vows that they swore to the public and to their state? Megan Hall was fired from the department immediately for having sexual relations with her officers. McGowan was also fired for being dishonest and hiding vital information with the inquiry. Magliocco escaped with a suspension, and so did patrol officer Gavin Schulberl, who swapped naked pics with Hall. Whereas patrol officer Juan Lugo and Sergeant Seneca Shields also lost their jobs in this vicious scandal. These firings and disciplinary measures meant that La Verne, a population of 39,000 individuals, lost around 12% of its police manpower overnight because of one irresponsible female officer. But just like any story, this tale also has two sides, with one side battling that Megan was just a disloyal wife and officer with no morals. Megan had a different story to tell. Hall believes that she was a victim and prey of the La Verne Police Department.
Megan wasn't looked at like a rookie cop to be trained and promoted. She was looked at as a piece of meat to be sexualized and exploited.
Megan was the only woman officer on the second shift and felt unsafe and exploited in her work environment.
I remember while interviewing for the position at La Verne Police Department, they described the environment as a family. However, while I was aspiring to protect my community, the La Verne Police Department was not protecting me.
She took accountability for her actions but explained that the situation wasn't as simple as it seemed on paper. Despite all the sexual acts being consensual and none coerced, there were clear instances where she felt manipulated to give in to the superiority of the male officers.
I know what most people are saying. You could have said no. I get it. But my response to them is that I did say no, and he wouldn't take it for an answer. Eventually, I gave in from pressure.
So it's not as easy to say she could have just said no.
She did say no on several occasions. Miss Hall tried to get out of this relationship, and she was not allowed to.
She filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the department and her former co-workers. The lawsuit claims that the officers colluded in using their authority to systemically harm her resistance and entrap her in degrading and abusive sexual relationships, even sharing tips on the best ways to manipulate and exploit her. Megan Hall felt trapped in the role assigned to her at the City of La Verne Police Department, and in an attempt to escape, she nearly killed herself, the lawsuit further added. When details about the lawsuit were discussed further, it was evident that there were clear incidents of manipulation and psychological coercion. When Sergeant Powell wanted sex, he refused to take no for an answer. He continued demanding sex, saying things like, "We'll do it tomorrow," or "I've done so much for you. I've helped you, and I've done so much for you in your personal life." Such a sexually coercive environment on the second shift at the La Verne Police Department triggered increasingly severe symptoms of mental illness in Megan. However, the damage has been done, and there is no one who can act like a victim in this scenario. But it does appear that Megan had it a lot worse than her male counterparts in this case. She most definitely did not deserve the harassment and the hate that she received. What do you think about this case? Do you believe Megan's side of the story, or do you simply think that she is playing the victim? Let us know everything in the comments down below. In a shocking revelation that happened in March 2023, Joanne Marion Segovia, 64 years old, who held the position of executive director at the San Jose Police Officers Association, was ensnared in a federal criminal complaint. The accusation? Her alleged involvement in the illicit importation of synthetic opioids, with a focus on Valeryl fentanyl, a notorious synthetic opioid responsible for the ongoing overdose crisis in the United States. This unfolding drama is part of an extensive investigation led by Homeland Security, targeting a complex network engaging in the smuggling of controlled substances into the San Francisco Bay Area from overseas. The case brims with intricate details, underscoring the gravity of the situation and the efforts to bring those involved to justice. Joanne Marion Segovia's web of deception and illegal activities began to unravel in February, when she faced the scrutiny of federal investigators. Despite the mounting pressure, she shockingly continued to order controlled substances even after her initial interview. In the subsequent interview on March 14th, Segovia resorted to a desperate tactic, attempting to shift blame onto her housekeeper for the incriminating packages, WhatsApp messages, and cash transactions. It was a move that investigators saw through, labeling her responses as false information. Using both personal and office computers, she orchestrated the delivery of thousands of opioid and other pills straight to her home address. Shockingly, she didn't stop there and allegedly agreed to distribute these drugs throughout the United States. Over a span of several years, from October 2015 to January, Sovia oversaw a staggering 61 shipments to her residence. The packages were sent from overseas, including Hong Kong, Hungary, India, and Singapore. The clandestine nature of these shipments is particularly noteworthy, as the manifests cunningly described their contents with labels like wedding party favors, gift makeup, or chocolate and sweets in a bid to slip under the radar. However, between July 2019 and January 2023, the authorities managed to intercept and unveil the truth behind 5 of these shipments, exposing thousands of pills of controlled substances. This alarming discovery included synthetic opioids such as tramadol and tapentadol, with certain parcels valued at thousands of dollars worth of illegal drugs. Sovia's intricate operations left a digital footprint. The use of encrypted WhatsApp communications revealed an array of discussions regarding the logistics of receiving and sending pill shipments. In these exchanges numbering in the hundreds, Sovia corresponded with an individual using a phone bearing an India country code. Their conversations delved into the minute of shipping details and the financial arrangements for the illicit pills. A criminal complaint merely alleges that crimes have been committed, and like all defendants, Sovia is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. As of April 8, 2023, she was fired from her job. If convicted, Sovia faces a maximum statutory sentence of 20 years. In addition, as part of any sentence, the court may order the defendant to serve at least 3 years of supervised release and pay a fine of up to $250,000. An outside investigator was also hired to conduct a comprehensive no-holds-barred probe of Sovia's alleged crimes to determine to what extent she utilized union resources and whether that could have been prevented. Wow, a grandma running a drug trafficking show? Moving on to the next cop, in 2018, a shocking incident unfolded when a female cop punched a pregnant woman for non-compliance with her instructions. San Antonio police officer Elizabeth Montoya faced consequences in 2019 when department footage of the incident was made public, leading to her termination. During the response to a disturbance call, Officer Elizabeth Montoya reportedly punched Kimberly Esperanza 7 times in the head. Montoya then forcefully pulled Esperanza by her hair, dragging her out of a car. This left a 6-month pregnant Esperanza handcuffed and sitting on the ground in the pouring rain, barefoot. Shockingly, she was left in this distressing situation for 26 minutes. Nevertheless, Montoya vigorously defended herself in court. Montoya's attorney presented SAPD body camera footage to support her claims. She stated that Esperanza had repeatedly mule-kicked her during a drug search, causing her to be concerned about being spit on or headbutted. Due to Esperanza's close proximity, Montoya testified that she used open palm strikes to redirect Esperanza's head.
If you kick me again, I swear to God, I'll break your arm.
While attempting to secure her in a police vehicle, she described these strikes as a rabbit punch aimed at gaining Esperanza's compliance, not as heavy blows since she didn't put her full weight behind them. Montoya was initially placed on indefinite leave and subsequently fired. However, according to the latest reports, her punishment was reduced to a 45-day suspension, and she was reinstated to the force. Should a corrupt officer like Montoya be allowed to wear a badge again, even after her actions were caught on camera? Can the public trust officers like Montoya, who have a history of misconduct, to serve and protect their communities? Share your thoughts below. For the final story, get ready for a tale of unexpected romance between a cop and a drug kingpin that had New York City buzzing with shock and intrigue. In New York City, a criminal organization known as the Shooting Boys, led by Andrew Dunn, was notorious for its involvement in drug sales, gun violence, and conflicts with rival gangs. Around the summer of 2020, the 52nd Precinct's Public Safety Unit aimed to combat the rising gun violence in the city, much of which was attributed to the Shooting Boys. During this period, NYPD officer Gina L. Mestre, who served in the Public Safety Unit from July 2013 to May 2022, began a secretive relationship with Andrew Dunn, carried out through covert social media accounts and undisclosed phone numbers. Shockingly, Mestre chose to betray her law enforcement role by sharing confidential, non-public information regarding a federal grand jury investigation into the shooting boys. This information enabled the gang to stay one step ahead of federal investigators, who were preparing to indict them. She even leaked the identity of a witness who never appeared to testify again. At all times relevant to this indictment, Gina Mestre, the defendant, and others known and unknown were members and associates of the Shooting Boys Gang, or the Enterprise, a criminal organization whose leaders, members, and associates engaged in, among other things, acts involving murder, assault, robbery, narcotics, trafficking, wire fraud, and obstruction of justice, said Mestre's indictment. The consequences turned tragic when on November 5, 2020, Dunn murdered a rival gang member referred to as Victim 1 in the Bronx. Surveillance footage captured the crime, and Mestre was one of the several officers who identified Dunn as the perpetrator. In the pursuit of Andrew Dunn, Mestre not only provided him with a copy of the incriminating video, but also maintained secret communication with him on the day of the murder and in the weeks that followed. This communication gave Dunn valuable information about law enforcement's efforts to capture him, allowing him to eventually flee the United States. She abused her position as an NYPD police officer, obstructing a federal grand jury investigation into the gang, and assisting the gang's leader in evading capture for a cold-blooded murder committed in broad daylight. The law eventually caught up with the Shooting Boys in March 2022, when 10 of its members faced a 15-count federal indictment, including charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and murder. Dunn was captured in the Dominican Republic and sentenced to 35 years in prison in February 2023 for his involvement in Victim 1's murder. About this time, Gina Mestre left the NYPD after a 9-year career. As for Mestre, she faces serious charges, including racketeering conspiracy, conspiracy to obstruct justice, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, and accessory after the fact to murder in aid of racketeering. If convicted, she could potentially serve a lengthy prison sentence. The story serves as a stark reminder that even those tasked with upholding the law can become entangled in the world of crime and corruption. Did the cops discussed face the justice they deserved? Is the system doing enough to maintain the integrity of law enforcement agencies? What more can be done to protect the public from corrupt officers?
Yeah, well, this news broke late this afternoon. Quite shocking to say the least. And the victim, also a police officer.
A Washington State police officer is suspended after posting a controversial video to TikTok.
If us officers stay behind you long enough, we can find a reason to pull you over. So you might as well get the out of the way.
In a world where officers uphold the law, some women in blue might take it to the edge. On the fateful day of April 11, 2023, a troubling incident unfolded. 3 women identified as Briana Cabano, Colleen Compton, and Dana Sears reportedly went to a residence with ill intentions. What makes this story even more alarming is that both Cabano and Sears are officers with the Detroit Police Department.
We did learn that the victim in the case is another police officer, all from the Detroit area, Detroit police officers. And as a result, the interesting part about it is this is law enforcement officials.
They are accused of forcibly entering a home, and once inside, their actions took a shocking turn. They not only breached the residence, but also wreaked havoc by destroying the victim's home and brazenly stealing his property. The victim, notably, is also a member of the Detroit Police Department. Once inside, they destroyed his home and stole the victim's property, said the news the next day. Briana Cabano and Colleen Compton, both 29 at the time, are facing charges for breaking into a home, which is a 15-year felony. They are also charged with conspiring to commit second-degree home invasion, damaging property worth $1,000 to $20,000, which is a 5-year felony, and stealing from a building, which is a 4-year felony. Meanwhile, Dana Sears, who was 21 at the time, is accused of second-degree home invasion, damaging property, stealing from a building, and being an accessory after the fact to a felony, which carries a 5-year sentence. Sears waived her right to a preliminary examination and continued to have an arraignment on August 8th in Macomb County Circuit Court in Mont Clemens, in front of Judge Richard Coretti. The court accepted the messages between both officers as evidence, showing that they were conspiring and even boasting about their actions. All of the defendants are currently free on a $5,000 personal bond. After their arrest, Cabano and Sears were initially suspended with pay, In May, Detroit Police Chief James White asked the Detroit Board of Police Commissioners to suspend them without pay, but the board has yet to make a decision on this matter.
Right now, Detroit Police Chief James White not commenting on the case. Obviously, it is an ongoing legal matter, but we do know that both police officers have been suspended with pay. But Chief White says he is recommending that they be suspended without pay to the Board of Commissioners.
Meanwhile, according to the latest news, the unidentified male officer is still pursuing a lawsuit against them related to the case. What motivated these women to target the officer's home? Was there any prior connection or history between them that led to this incident? Well, feel free to subscribe and follow us for the latest updates and intriguing stories. Police falsifying reports often disrupt the lives of ordinary people. Yet, justice isn't always served. In this next story, we delve into the world of a female cop entangled in such a web. Keep watching to discover her fate. In a recent case, 26-year-old Alexa Paliki found herself under arrest.
New details just in about a Sacramento police officer arrested, accused of filing a false report.
And on administrative leave following a month-long investigation. The saga began when her fellow officers raised concerns about alleged misconduct back in July 2020. The Sacramento Police Department swiftly responded by initiating a comprehensive audit of all arrests and related supplemental reports submitted by Paliki, who had served on the force for 3 years. The audit involved interviewing numerous department personnel and scrutinizing footage from various cameras, including body cams, in-car cameras, and surveillance cameras. Search warrants were even issued to access Paliki's cell phones and social media accounts. The core issue revolved around an incident dated July 11, 2020, when Paliki and her partner encountered a 27-year-old black man parked across 2 spaces near Discovery Park. Allegedly, Paliki falsely reported that she had witnessed the driver making an improper turn without signaling and suspected him of driving under the influence, ultimately leading to the man's arrest. The body cam footage from that day showed Paliki asking her fellow officer to lie about what happened. However, the case against the motorist was later dismissed by the district attorney's office due to a lack of evidence, shedding light on Paliki's alleged false reports. Alexa Paliki now faces 2 felony charges for falsifying probable cause during a vehicle stop on July 11, 2020.
Alexa Paliki, she's 26 years old. She's facing 2 felony counts for filing a false police report.
The severity of these charges renders her ineligible for bail as she navigates the legal consequences of her actions. Sacramento County District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert issued the following statement regarding Paliki's arrest. The falsification of a police report by an officer is a grave offense against justice. The Sacramento District Attorney's Office, upon receiving information about Paliki's misconduct, initiated an internal audit to identify cases in which she was involved.
There are additional officers that are involved in some form or fashion in the administrative review. There are additional officers on administrative leave, but nobody else has been charged with a crime.
In instances where her participation was vital for prosecution, the cases have been dismissed. For those where her involvement wasn't pivotal, the defense has been duly informed. Furthermore, a review of previous cases resulting in convictions is underway to ascertain the suitable course of action. The pursuit of justice and fairness remains paramount, and the District Attorney's Office is dedicated to upholding these principles in the criminal justice system. The exact number of cases involving Paliki that have been dismissed remains unclear. Her initial administrative leave was prompted by the allegations, and while some cases were deemed questionable, no charges were filed during the investigation. Initially facing a potential 3 years and 8 months in prison, accompanied by a $10,000 fine, Paliki later accepted a judge-negotiated plea deal as part of the plea agreement. Alexa Paliki entered a no-contest plea to felony charges of filing a false police report. This deal, often considered an affront to justice, significantly reduced her sentence from a possible 4 years in prison to probation. Moving on. Remember this video you saw at the beginning? Who is this lady cop? Is she speaking her mind or just playing it up for social media? Meet Briana Strauss, a uniformed officer from the Washington Federal Way Police Department, who found herself at the center of a social media controversy when a video she posted went viral. In this video, Officer Strauss made some highly contentious remarks that ignited a heated debate across various online platforms. "If we're driving on the freeway with our police cars, get the F out of the way," "Get the F out of the way," she says in the video.
If we're driving on the freeway in our police car, get the out of the way. Get the out of the way.
In her TikTok video, Officer Strauss asserted that not only should drivers give way to police cars on the freeway, but also suggested that merging in front of a police vehicle was ill-advised. She claimed that staying in a cop's way could lead to a traffic stop for the driver.
If us officers stay behind you long enough, we can find a reason to pull you over.
Strauss emphasized the advantage police officers have regarding speed limits, stating that she could drive at 90 miles per hour, which regular drivers cannot do.
I can go 90 miles an hour. You can't. You can't do that. So get out of the way. If us officers stay behind you long enough, we can find a reason to pull you over. So you might as well get out of the way.
The video quickly garnered widespread attention but was later deleted by Strauss. However, the online community had already shared it on platforms like Reddit, where the post attracted considerable attention. Many users called for more than just a brief suspension without pay as a consequence for her actions. The Federal Way Police Department launched an investigation into the matter, which concluded on July 7th. They found that Officer Strauss had violated the department's personal and social media protocols. Despite having a clean disciplinary record before this incident, Strauss was suspended without pay for her actions. This case exemplifies the impact of social media and the responsibilities that come with being a law enforcement officer in the age of the internet. It serves as a reminder that statements made online can carry significant consequences, even for those in uniform. Strauss, who became a part of the department in August 2021, had her actions scrutinized, and her career briefly interrupted by the viral video that brought her under intense public scrutiny. Do you think these actions are enough to prevent such incidents in the future? Many more intriguing stories are on the horizon. If you're eager to delve into more tales of police misconduct and injustice, be sure to follow our channel for the latest updates.